The A524 Alpine has unveiled a radically different 2024 car that aims to revive Renault's struggling Works F1 program. The car has addressed the key weaknesses that hampered Alpine's 2023 Challenger, which was unreliable and rarely competitive against F1's top teams. The A524 is a crucial car for Alpine, as it also reflects some wider changes in the team's structure and philosophy. Alpine's 2024 F1 car was launched alongside its hypercar contender for the World Endurance Championship, in a modest event that we hope signals Renault's commitment to letting this team focus on performance rather than presentation. We'll discuss the historical problems of Renault's Works F1 entry later in this video. But first let's take a closer look at the car itself. We've seen the car in both render form and in person at the launch, which was a nice surprise and rare opportunity as F1's launch seasons become more digital and less transparent. Let's start with the A524's appearance. It has a sleek and aggressive livery, but it's a bit disappointing to see another dark car, especially when Alpine Blue and BWT Pink could have given it so much character. But the car's design is more important than its color, and the A524 has some interesting features. The A524 will run on track for the first time in a shakedown in Bahrain the day before pre-season testing, and we're curious to see if it has evolved since the launch. Alpine claims it was a genuine A524 on display, and says the car is completely revised with an ambitious design philosophy that aims to give maximum potential for the final 2 years of the current rule set. But at first glance it looks very similar to the A523. Aerodynamically, there's an improved undercut, but the same top surface on the side pod, which is slimmer. That's probably related to a slightly larger airbox area that suggests some rearrangement of the cooling. The front wing and nose have been modified to control the airflow at the front of the car. The nose looks like it might be a bit wider, going against the usual trend, while the front and rear flaps on the front wing have longer spans. What we can't see is a focus on making a totally new chassis and a much lighter gearbox, which were among technical director Matt Harmon's list of key improvements, along with new rear suspension, optimized front suspension with more anti-dive built into a raised upper wishbone, a new heat rejection system and better brake thermal management. The beam wing has also been redesigned and Alpine plans to have more specific rear wings for different tracks this year, after realizing in 2023 it wasn't as efficient as it needed to be. But Harmon's list of changes includes one area in particular that we think is Alpine's biggest priority: deceptively different. The A524 has reworked rear suspension to enhance entry rotation and corner balance. To understand why and the significance of this, we need to go back a bit. The drawbacks of the 2023 Alpine could be summarized as poor ride and poor balance, and unlike the strong in-season progress of its predecessor, the A523 proved a bit more stubborn, with some correlation issues that didn't exist before. The ride meant the car couldn't be run as low as the aeromap had been designed around, so the floor produced less downforce. And the balance issues were not only related to that. Some progress was made with low-speed traction and stability on corner exit, but it was clear that bigger changes were required to make the A524 more suited to what this generation of F1 car needs. With Harman hinting at the rear suspension as the main area of focus, the only obvious visible change in the suspension is the position of the push rod, but the rest of the trick will be in the internals on the hidden inboard side. It's a much bigger deal than it looks, and something Alpine were working on for ages.